Hey guys, TVI here, blowing over a breakdown discussion on the January Pokémon Direct. The January Pokémon Direct has been out for a while now, and like I mentioned in my other video, I'm really excited. Seriously hyped for what's to come, but I just want to analyse Pokémon Direct bit by bit and discuss my thoughts on it all, as well as some insight on each section. So straight away, no time wasted, we're introduced to Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX, which will be a remake of the original Pokémon Red and Blue Mystery Dungeon games. Just wow! Red Rescue Team was the first ever Pokémon game I ever played, and I last played it about 5 years ago. Just hearing this news makes me want to play the game one more time before the remakes come out. So first of all, we get the year 2006 on screen, and I immediately thought we were getting Gen 4 remakes. However, I also knew this wouldn't happen. They wouldn't jump straight into huge news straight away. But before I could think about anything else, I saw text box and I immediately knew that we were going to get a new Mystery Dungeon game. It wasn't until after the 2020 screen faded that I knew we were going to get remakes of the classic Mystery Dungeon story. The new game looks so clean. The artwork they use for the background, as well as the updated text box and models they use for the actual Pokemon, as well as a fresh look at the town area, dungeon transition sections, and boss locations. Even the dungeons look on point. Despite the charm of how simple they are, the updated 3D look is definitely winning me over by a mile. Although, I might have a panic attack if I ever encounter a monster house like the trailer advertised. God, I hate those things. It's been a long time coming for any type of callback to previous spin-off games in this manner. However, if I had to choose any spin-off game that I would love to see return, Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue Rescue Team would definitely be my choice, no doubt about it. Although, will it have the same exact storyline? For the most part, I believe they stayed true to the original story, but update some of the features and tweak the game mechanics. Who knows, we may even get bonus content exclusive to the remakes. It's coming out on the 6th of March. Should be just enough time, hopefully, for me to enjoy another run of Red Rescue Team before getting to re-experience it all again in 3D, with new features such as Megas, Shinies and online play. We then jump over to Game Freak, and I'm reminded of the events and features that Pokémon Sword and Shield have to offer. We are then told that Game Freak intends to enhance our experience even further with expansion passes for Sword and Shield. What? We're getting added DLC instead of additional games to the series? This is amazing! Getting the chance to spend less money on bonus content, then more money for a similar adventure, is something that should have been done ages ago. Pokemon Platinum and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were mentioned as examples of such games that provide similar story in the same region, but are completely different games. Just hearing Pokemon Platinum again made me jokingly convince my friends that Gen 4 remakes were confirmed. It does make me wonder what games they are working on though. Supposing the bonus content will come in the form of DLC instead of new Gen 8 games, then chances are Game Freak have more time and resources to invest in other games. My three hopes are for either Gen 4 remakes, which seriously needs to happen soon. Gen 4 is my origin, technically, as I mentioned before. A Let's Go game set in Johto, which I could see as being real fun. Or simply a new spin-off game that could utilise the Switch's capabilities and be something completely original to the Switch console. Diving into the provided footage now, and let's really go all in. We get a little throwback to our current Galar adventure, then quick slides of never before seen content. So the trailer officially begins with some scenery of never before seen areas. We then pan out to a screen of some interesting points of mention. We see Gigantamax Venusaur and Blastoise, which will get revealed later properly. What's interesting are the artworks of what seems to be a giant Vine Whip slam and a Mario style Blastoise butt slam. I reckon these could be illustrations of their Gigantamax moves. There's also a really blurred out image of Galarian Slowbro in the corner. We didn't see it officially revealed in the trailer, but in the corner it looks as if it's rocking a nice purple colour on its tail, hands and forehead. However, in the next sequence we get a better look at Galarian Slowpoke. Honestly, I hate the design. It's basically Slowpoke, but with a tiny bit of yellow added to its colour palette. Nothing else changes. There's also a better look at Slowbro as I mentioned earlier, however, again we're not allowed to see it officially yet. There's also this symbol, which gets linked to this building. In my mind, after seeing this building and the person beside it, I instantly thought about new gyms. I followed this thought up immediately to the major and minor gyms that were discussed in the build up to Sword and Shield's release. We then get shown some new outfits, some new t-shirts, shoes, gloves, knee pads, shorts, jackets and socks, as well as some new hairstyles and hair colours. We even get hairstyles that match characters in the main game. An abundance of bags and hats are also showcased, and can I just say that this hat in particular is one I'm very interested in. A new look at the Rotom bike is also established, as well as new bike outfits which look interesting. We also get a quick look at this lass and this lad. She looks like she has Dustox themed headwear, which could allude to a Galarian Dustox, and he looks like a prominent Galarian Slowbro trainer capable of psychic feats. Galarian Dustox would be cool, but I'd only like it if Beautifly gets the same treatment. Slowbro has the same look as its trainer, in that it has the same neckwear. Could this actually be part of its design, or is it just wearing clothes? Moving on, and on top of Talonflame's return, we get Volcarona, Kingdra, Dedenne and Lycanroc's return. Will it just be its midday form returning? or Dusk and Midnight also make an appearance. Either way, some great returns, cannot complain. Now here's a huge selling point for this DLC, for all the Gen 1s out there. Venusaur and Blastoise make a return, but they have Gigantamax forms now. Thank God it's not just Charizard getting all the attention, because that seriously annoys me. Gigantamax Venusaur looks like a walking bombshell, so I can see this thing being incredibly tanky. Also, if seen from above, I can imagine it looking a little inappropriate for some. As for Gigantamax Blastoise, its shell becomes an artillery station of mass water projection. Seriously, this thing uses Rapid Spin while firing, there's no chance of touching it. Now for the actual Galar starters, I thought it was a little off seeing them without Gigantamax forms and how lackluster they seemed, except Cinderace, who was won my heart for potential best fire starter final stage. However, when the reveal for the Gigantamax forms came out, I honestly can't say I had the same love for Cinderace as much as I do for the other starters. Rillaboom looks like an absolute beast, with 6 arms playing in an entire drum kit. Its moves on the left side too also look like a serious threat. Inteleon gets access to a bloody sniper tower, an actual sniper. Its tail literally becomes a perch for it to camp on top of, while sniping its enemies. Cinderace, however, didn't do it for me. I love this Pokemon to pieces, but all that happens is its ears get longer, and it stands on a giant fireball of its face. I don't know, I'm leaning towards the other two than this one, but I'll still end up using the Gigantamax form regardless. The trailer then ends off with a new wild area style exploring experience that has a rotating camera, trade dens, and a quick look at the new buildings within the area. This expansion is being dubbed the Isle of Armor. Jumping straight back into the new trailer, and we're introduced to a snowy area, an iceland covered in ice, snow and plant life indigenous to the climates. There also seems to be gravestones, but that can't be right, can it? Although, we do pan out to a giant ice tree, and quick previews to what we're about to see. What's interesting to note from what we see next is the new building. This building is the same as this building, however, one has a giant ice tree, whereas this ice tree is tiny compared to it. Maybe this is something to do with the circled items, or maybe our goal in the DLC is to restore the tree to its natural state. Anyway, this guy shows up, and he looks pretty cool. We're also looking pretty cool in our exploration gear too. Looks like a real adventure is about to go down. Could the adventure be linked to the Reggies though? Probably. I say this because in the next scene, we were met with Regice, Regirock and Registeel, all with custom new temples / places of slumber. Unless these are completely different Reggies to the ones from previous games. There are also these strange, I'm going to call them relics for now, lingering near the edges of the screen. They look important for accessing the Reggies, so maybe our goal is to find these items in order to get the opportunity to catch the Reggies. Then the real spicy stuff gets shown. A Link Temple is revealed, with 2 Reggie markings we're not familiar with. Again, with new held items in the corner, although they may just be part of the actual temple. Anyway, 2 new Reggies are introduced. I'm confident they're electric and dragon types respectively. I'm not sure if you've heard the hot theory with the prior Reggie trio, but these 2 are spawned X and Y on their markings. Gen 6 remakes confirmed, maybe? Galarian Slowpoke makes a comeback, or Galarian Slowking as the face of the... oh, its face is scribbled out. Well, it has similar purple markings as Galarian Slowbro, but it looks as if it's wearing a cape and has a bigger, eviler head attached to it than what we're familiar with. Again, there are more cosmetic items in shoes, gloves, headwear, bags, jackets and trousers. And what is this little logo? Might not mean anything, but whilst doing this video, I randomly thought it was a new Pokemon, since it looks like a face and neck that's smiling. I don't know. Let's move on before I overanalyze. There's also villain outfits and accessories too. There's Team Flare glasses and eyewear, all available to customise to whichever cardinal of our choosing. There's also a brief look at stamps or patches that we can collect and assign to our outfit, similar to Leon's cape. More familiar faces make a return, in the form of Aurorus, Nidorino, Celio, and oh boy, Garchomp. Definitely don't see Garchomp being overused by the masses. More familiar faces include the legendary birds Moltres, Arcuno and Zapdos. However, they've undergone a fabulous transformation that I'm going to link with Galarian variants for now. Although, it all seems to link up to this tree somehow. Moltres is looking darker and edgier, with a unique fire colour scheme that screams evil. Arcuno looks more calm and collected, with its newfound laser vision and smug expression, while Zapdos has given up flying to become a roadrunner with its thick legs and slender body. Once more, we're shown areas similar to the wild area, including the snowy biome, the new Reggie Temple, and this church building. Again, they feature raid dens, full camera movement, and new Pokemon to catch. This expansion is titled The Crown Tundra. However, we're still not finished. We get a cinematic similar to Zacian and Zamazenta's reveal that showcase what appears to be 2 fighting mammals with similar yet different appearances. In addition to this, there is this third Pokemon advertising the Triforce symbol on its mane, I guess? It just opens its eyes before fading into black. This ends off the trailers, and we return to Masuda and Omori. They hand over the rest of the video to the director Tani, who is going to provide an insight as to what we just saw, as well as a little more information and news. While the bonus content is still being worked on, we're able to see the concept art on what to expect. That coincides with explanations on the topic. The Isle of Armor's theme will be on growth. I really like this idea, because even though we've grown throughout the main game, we're still able to grow and develop in this new expansion. We're then shown around the areas again, and told we'll be focusing our attention to the new Pokemon Dojo, which is where we'll be trained under the Eye of Mustard. Yeah, Mustard. I heard this name for the first time and burst into laughter. Anyway, ex-champion Mustard will mentor us in order for us to grow, and is also the same person who trained Leon up to become the Gala champion. It's cool how since we beat his previous student, we'll now receive training that will far exceed even our own capabilities, really making us Gala champions worthy of the title. Now depending on which game you play, it will determine which rival you get to face off against during the training. There's Clara, the poison type user for sword players, and Avery, the psychic type user for shield players. They're both training to become gym leaders. Thank God I'm on shield. I hate poison types, and Avery looks like a cool dude. Then there's Cubchoo, another brilliant reason why shield is a better option for me. I want a challenge. I know going against psychic types will be a challenge, especially since psychic moves are super effective, whereas poison is only neutral. So yeah, Cubfu, the fighting type legendary of this expansion. It's pretty cool, I will admit. I also think it's awesome you get hand it throughout your journey. Not sure how exactly our team build during this expansion, but there will definitely be a slot open for Cubfu. Its evolutions are awesome too. Urshifu gets 2 forms depending on its fighting style. There's a fighting and dark type for its single strike style, and a fighting and water type for its rapid strike style. I was talking to my friend about which form is better. I'm slightly leaning towards fire and water because rapid strike sounds quick and majestic, and I've already used Scrafty and Pangoro on previous gameplays, whereas I've only used Poliwrath once. I think another fire and water type on my team would balance it out a little. On top of this all, both Urshifu will be getting Gigantamax forms, with a unique Gigantamax move, as well as 2 signature moves depending on its form, and a powerful shared ability. I could definitely see this being overused online, seeing how it's legible for online play. Then we move on to the Gala starters, and they're confirmed to have their own G-Max moves. Again, I'll use Cinderace, but man do the other 2 look cooler. I wonder how it will work though, since we won't be able to use our own starters, unless there's a way to teach G-Max to a Pokemon. Would be pretty cool. New content is also established too. There will be new tutor moves, Pokeball creation through the method of Apricorns, and EXP charm that can be used to yield in more experience for your Pokemon. Then there's just an ending statement about new outfits, fight customizations, and a quick look at the already seen additional content before going back to the director. The Crown Tundra's theme will be on exploration. This is awesome. I love exploring. After seeing what's available, I can't wait to discover the mysteries that the island has to offer. We get shown shots of the area, but it's nothing too exciting. There was a shot of the houses to expect, but meh. Although, again, I'm really worried about these gravestones. This place seems a little morbid for the light-hearted adventure that I'm imagining currently. The Reggie temples make a return, as well as the red tree that the legendary birds will be linked to. Nothing too exciting besides this. Also, a certain person has assigned us to be the leaders of this adventure, and if it has anything to do with the Reggies, my money is on Brandon. Seriously, how crazy would it be if he made a dramatic return? I'll touch on that later, but for now we're introduced to Calyrex, a psychic and grass type that looks like a graceful deer. It's an interesting Pokemon for sure, what of it being the ruler of the area, but the design and typing doesn't do it for me. Oh boy, co-op, this part's exciting. So similar to Max Raid battles, there's this new co-op feature where a squad can explore underground and find raid bosses. What's exciting is there will also be legendary raid bosses of basically all legendary Pokemon that are currently available. Then there's a little skipped over dialogue teasing towards the new Reggies and new forms of the legendary birds. But rather than talk about those, we jump into information about customizable items and how battle challenges will reward the player with stamps and patches like I mentioned before. Pay attention, because straight after this part, the narrator says that these 2 DLC expansions are just key examples of things that are being worked on. This implies that even more is being worked on, which I reckon means we'll be getting more DLC content for next year, solidifying my view that other games rather than Gen 8 sister games are on the works right now. This statement gets lost however, when an explanation of the areas are established. The 2 new areas will host raid dens and will allow free movement of the camera, as well as new Pokemon, all of which I spoke about before. Although apparently these areas excel in content where the wild area lacks, if the narrator is correct on his claim. Only time will tell, I guess. Speaking of time, the DLC will be released in June and November, plenty of time to speculate and ponder on. Also, there will be other games to focus on like Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX, so no need to be impatient. Before the direct finishes though, there is confirmation that over 200 Pokemon will be making a return. That's just over 600 total Pokemon of a just shy 900 selection of Pokemon available for us to use in battle. That's a good 2/3 of the entire national dex, which is completely fine with me. Don't worry though, these new Pokemon aren't locked to DLC purchases only. Over time, updates will happen, which will allow Pokemon to be transferred freely, whether you have the expansion pass or not. That means technically you're not obliged to pay for Pokemon. Finally, when Pokemon Home drops, any Pokemon you have stored in Pokemon Bank or the Let's Go titles can be transferred to Home, and then put into Sword and Shield in that way. Not sure how much of that I'll use, but I know some hardcore die-hard fans are itching to use Pokemon Home as soon as possible. It will be dropping next month for this video's recording, with additional news being revealed before then. So hopefully just a little longer everyone, and your favourite Pokemon can finally make it into the newer games. Then it's just outdated stuff that this video probably doesn't need to touch on. Just news on increased spawns of Gigantamax Colossal, Lapras, Flapple and Appleton, as well as early access to the opportunity to catch Galarian Slowpoke. Oh, and some exclusive cosmetic Pikachu and Eevee outfits if you pre-purchased the game. So before this video ends, let's just brush over some points I've noted. Galarian Slowpoke, the Regis, and what's to come for the future Pokemon announcements. First of all, Galarian Slowpoke. It's a pure Psychic type, meaning it has an additional type slot available for its evolution. With it knowing Acid and the purple markings on its evolution's body, and because the two new trainers, Clara and Avery, are Poison and Psychic type experts, I believe Galarian Slowpoke will evolve into a Psychic/Poison type. Would be awesome to see since it's a never before seen type combination. Then there's the Regis, so it looks like an Electric and Dragon type will join the trio to become a quintet. For now, let's go with Regijolt and Regidraco. While this is awesome news, it's strange how there's no mention of Regigigas whatsoever. You'd think with a monumental update to the Regi lore that the king of the Regis would show up. However, is it possible that Game Freak are saving Regigigas' reveal for a future DLC, or possibly even for the Gen 4 remakes? It would make a lot more sense to reintroduce the giant golem itself into the region that it resides in. This is just build up for what's to come in terms of an overarching story surrounding Regigigas. The cherry on top would be the return of Brandon, but let's not get our hopes too high. Finally for the announcements, I think on top of Pokemon Home news, there'll be further information on projects like Pokemon Sleep and the upcoming Detective Pikachu game. Would be interesting to see what direction the new news will make. I'm really curious as to what Pokemon Sleep will be like, but in the meantime, I'll stick to Pokemon Red Rescue Team until March. But for now, TVI has got to fly. Thanks for watching everyone.